She cried, begged, and whispered she had months left. But I noticed something odd in her purse. My name is Emma Larson, I'm 29, and I was living my dream life in Seattle, working as a graphic designer for a tech startup. That was until my 29th birthday when my phone rang at 7 a.m. It was Mom sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. "Emma, I have cancer," she said. "I don't have long. Please come home." My heart sank. I hadn't been back to Raleigh, North Carolina in 3 years. Not since the last family fight, when Mom called my career a waste and Dad said I'd never make it out there. But this? This was different. Or so I thought. I booked the next flight, packed a bag, and told my boss I needed indefinite leave. The whole way to Raleigh, I replayed Mom's voice in my head. She sounded broken, desperate. She'd never been the warmest person, always critical, always pushing me to be someone I wasn't, but she was my mom. If she was dying, I had to be there. I landed at Raleigh-Durham Airport late that night, rented a car, and drove to the house I grew up in. The same peeling blue paint, the same creaky porch. It felt like stepping into a memory I'd tried to forget. Mom opened the door, her eyes red and puffy. She hugged me, something she hadn't done since I was a kid. "Emma, thank God you're here," she whispered. Dad was in the living room, sitting in his old recliner, staring at the TV. He barely looked up. "Hey," he mumbled. My younger sister Lily wasn't there. She'd moved to Charlotte for college and rarely came back. The air felt heavy, like everyone was holding their breath. We sat at the kitchen table, the one where Mom used to scold me for drawing instead of doing homework. She poured me coffee, her hands shaking. "It's pancreatic," she said, voice cracking. "They caught it late. I've got maybe 6 months." I felt like the floor dropped out. I asked about treatments, doctors, anything we could do. She shook her head. "It's too far gone, Emma. I just need you here now." I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. I'd stay as long as she needed. But then something caught my eye. Mom's purse was on the counter, half open. A piece of paper stuck out, and I saw the logo of a local bank. It looked like a statement, but not the kind you'd expect from someone planning their final days. I didn't say anything, just sipped my coffee and listened as Mom talked about her last wishes. She wanted me to help with the house, sort out their finances, just in case. Dad chimed in, saying the mortgage was behind, and they needed my help to get things in order. It felt off, but I pushed the thought away. They were my family. They wouldn't lie about something like this, would they? The next morning, I woke up in my old bedroom, the walls still covered in my teenage sketches. Mom was already up, making breakfast like nothing was wrong. "Emma, can you grab my purse? I need my pills," she called. I picked it up, and that paper slipped out. It wasn't a bank statement. It was a loan application, filled out in Mom's handwriting, with my name listed as a co-signer. My stomach twisted. I tucked it back in and handed her the purse, watching her closely. She avoided my eyes, popped a pill, and smiled. "You're such a good daughter," she said. But that smile didn't reach her eyes. Over the next few days, things got weirder. Mom kept asking about my savings, my job, how much I was making. Dad started dropping hints about helping them out with a small loan. They hadn't mentioned cancer again, no doctor visits, no medical papers. I started paying attention. Mom's pills were just over-the-counter painkillers. The house wasn't a mess, like you'd expect if someone was sick. And then I overheard them whispering in the garage late one night. "If she signs it, we're set," Dad said. "Just keep her here a bit longer," Mom replied. My blood ran cold. Was this all a setup? I decided to play along. I told them I'd help with their finances, but I needed access to their bank accounts first. Mom hesitated, then handed over her laptop. "It's all there," she said, her voice tight. I logged in, and what I found made my hands shake. There were no medical bills, no late mortgage payments, just a string of transfers to an account I didn't recognize, thousands of dollars gone. And then I saw an email in her inbox from a financial advisor named Greg Holt. It read, "Get Emma's account details. We need her savings to cover the rest." I closed the laptop, my heart pounding. They weren't just lying about the cancer, they were trying to drain me dry. I needed proof, and I needed a plan. So I kept quiet, smiled, and started digging. What I found changed everything, and when the truth came out, they'd be the ones begging me to stay. Hey, if you're loving this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for Revenge Line. We bring you the best family drama and revenge stories every week. Drop a comment and let us know where in the world you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned because this is about to get wild. I sat at the kitchen table, Mom's laptop still open in front of me, my pulse racing. The email from Greg Holt burned in my mind. Get Emma's account details. We need her savings to cover the rest. My mother, who'd sobbed about having months to live, was part of a scheme to take everything I'd worked for. My dad, sitting silently in his recliner, was in on it too. I closed the laptop, took a deep breath, and plastered a smile on my face. If they thought they could play me, they were about to meet a version of Emma they didn't know existed. The next morning, I acted like nothing was wrong. Mom, I'll help with the finances, I said over breakfast, watching her eyes light up. But I need to see all the documents, bills, loans, everything. She nodded a little too quickly. Of course, honey, I'll get them together. Dad coughed, shifting in his seat. Good idea, Emma. We've been struggling. His voice was flat, like he was reading a script. I nodded, sipping my coffee, my mind already 3 steps ahead. That afternoon, Mom handed me a folder stuffed with papers. Here's everything, she said, her hands fidgeting. I flipped through it. Utility bills, a mortgage statement, some medical receipts. But the dates didn't add up. The hospital bills were from 2 years ago for a minor surgery Mom had. There was nothing about cancer, no recent doctor visits, no chemotherapy records. I kept my face neutral. Thanks, Mom. I'll look these over tonight. She smiled, but I saw the nervous twitch in her lip. I waited until midnight, when the house was quiet, and slipped into the garage with Mom's laptop. I'd seen her type her password once. My birthday, of all things. I logged in and dug deeper. The bank account they'd been transferring money to belonged to a company called Holt Financial, registered in Raleigh. A quick search online showed it was a shell company, barely a website, with Greg Holt listed as the owner. There were no reviews, no real clients, just a P.O. box and a phone number. My gut told me this was a scam, and my parents were either victims or accomplices. I found more emails. One from Greg to Mom, dated a week before my birthday. Tell her it's cancer. She'll come running. Another from Dad to Greg. She's got at least $50,000 saved. We can split it 3 ways. My hands shook as I read. They'd planned this from the start. The tears, the begging, the 6 months to live. It was all a lie to lure me back and empty my savings. I felt sick, but I wasn't done. I needed hard proof, something they couldn't deny. The next day, I told Mom I'd help pay off their debts, but needed to meet their financial advisor. Greg's great, she said, a little too enthusiastically. He's been helping us for years. I nodded, playing along. Can we meet him tomorrow? I want to make sure everything's legit. Mom hesitated, then agreed. I'll call him. That night, I heard her on the phone, whispering, she wants to meet you. Be convincing. I wasn't just going to confront them. I was going to turn their game against them. I called my friend Mia, a paralegal in Seattle, and asked her to run a background check on Greg Holt. She texted back within hours. Shady guy. Multiple fraud complaints, no convictions. Be careful. I also contacted my bank and put a freeze on my accounts, just in case. Then I set up a fake email account and sent Greg a message, posing as a concerned family member, asking about Holt Financial. His reply came fast. We're happy to assist with your family's investments. Send us your account details to get started. It was so blatant, it almost made me laugh. The meeting with Greg was set for the next afternoon at a coffee shop in downtown Raleigh. I told Mom and Dad I'd drive myself, saying I had errands to run. They didn't argue, probably thinking their plan was working. I arrived early, ordered a latte, and waited. Greg walked in right on time, a middle-aged guy in a cheap suit, all smiles and slick hair. He didn't know I'd already seen his emails. Emma, right? He said, shaking my hand. Your parents speak highly of you. I smiled back, my phone recording in my pocket. Tell me about this investment plan, I said. He launched into a pitch about high-yield opportunities and family security. But it was all vague buzzwords. I pressed him, asking for specifics. Returns, risks, contracts. His smile faltered. We'll get to that, he said. First, we need your account details to set things up. I leaned back, sipping my latte. You mean the account you and my parents plan to drain? His face froze. I kept going. I saw the emails, Greg. The ones where you told Mom to fake cancer. The ones where Dad said you'd split my savings. He stammered, trying to laugh it off. You're misunderstanding. I cut him off. I'm not signing anything, and I'm not staying quiet. I stood up, leaving him sitting there, his coffee untouched. Hey, if you're hooked on this story, hit that subscribe button for Revenge Line. We've got more jaw-dropping family drama and revenge tales coming your way. Drop a comment and let us know where in the world you're watching from. Stay tuned because Emma's not done yet, and the truth is about to hit hard. I drove back to the house, my mind racing. Confronting Greg was just the start. I needed to face Mom and Dad, but I wasn't going to walk in empty-handed. I had the emails, the recording, and a plan to make them regret ever thinking they could use me. I pulled into the driveway of my childhood home in Raleigh, the engine humming as I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white. My phone sat in the passenger seat, Greg Holt's recorded confession backed up to the cloud, along with every damning email and bank record I'd found. My parents, my own mother and father, had spun a web of lies, faking her cancer to lure me back from Seattle, all to trick me into handing over my savings. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined, but I wasn't the naive girl who left Raleigh 7 years ago. They thought they could play me. Tonight they'd meet the Emma they never saw coming. I grabbed my bag, Mom's laptop, and a USB drive with all the evidence. Emails plotting the scam, bank transfers to a shady shell company called Holt Financial, and Greg's voice admitting their plan to split my savings 3 ways. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from a fire that had been smoldering since I first saw that loan application in Mom's purse, with my name forged as a co-signer. I stepped onto the creaky porch, the same one I'd run down at 22, swearing I'd never let them control me again. The peeling blue paint, the faded welcome mat, it all felt like a trap I'd walked into willingly. Not anymore. Mom opened the door before I could knock, her face a mix of worry and forced warmth. Emma, you're back early. How was the meeting with Greg? Her voice was syrupy, like she was selling me a used car. I forced a smile, my stomach churning. Enlightening, I said, brushing past her into the house. Dad was in the living room, slouched in his old recliner, flipping through a car magazine. His eyes flicked to me, wary. Everything okay? He asked, setting the magazine down slowly, like he sensed a storm brewing. Let's talk, I said, my voice calm but edged with steel. I set the laptop on the kitchen table, the same table where Mom used to lecture me about wasting my life on art school and graphic design. She hesitated, then sat down, her hands fidgeting. Dad joined her, arms crossed, his jaw tight. The air felt heavy, like the moment before lightning strikes. I opened the laptop and pulled up the first email from Greg Holt. This is interesting, I said, turning the screen toward them. Greg told you to fake cancer to get me here. He said, she'll come running. Ring any bells? Mom's face went pale, her mouth opening and closing like she was gasping for air. Dad's eyes narrowed, but he didn't speak. I kept going, my voice steady. I saw the transfers. Thousands of dollars to Holt Financial, a company that's just a P.O. box and a fake website. I saw Dad's email about splitting my savings 3 ways, and I recorded Greg today, admitting it all. I hit play, and Greg's voice filled the room, smooth and smug. We need her account details to set things up. Mom's hands flew to her face, and Dad stared at the table, his knuckles white. Emma, you're blowing this out of proportion, Dad started, his voice gruff, but I cut him off. Don't, I said, my tone sharp enough to slice through his bravado. I checked the mortgage. It's paid up. Those hospital bills? From your gallstone surgery 2 years ago. No cancer, no doctor visits, no chemo. You lied about dying, Mom. You made me drop my life in Seattle thinking I was losing you. For what? My money? Mom's eyes filled with tears, but I didn't flinch. I'd fallen for her crocodile tears once. Not again. Dad slammed his hand on the table, the sound echoing. You don't understand what we've been through, he shouted. You left us chasing your fancy job while we're stuck here, scraping by. I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that surprised even me. Stuck? You're not stuck. You're scheming. You didn't need my help. You wanted my life. I worked nights, weekends, built everything from nothing. And you thought you could take it with a sob story? Mom sobbed, her shoulders shaking. Emma, we were desperate. The house, the bills. It's been hard. Her voice cracked, but it sounded rehearsed, like she practiced in front of a mirror. I leaned forward, my eyes locked on hers. Desperate? I saw your bank account. No late bills, no debts, just transfers to Greg. You're not victims. You're thieves. Dad's face twisted, his voice low. You wouldn't dare go to the police. We're your family. I slid the USB drive across the table, watching it skid to a stop between them. This has everything. Emails, bank records, Greg's recording. I'm giving you one chance to come clean. Return every cent you took. End this with Greg. Or I walk out, and this goes to the Raleigh PD. Mom gasped, her hand clutching her chest like she was in a soap opera. Emma, you can't mean that. I stood, my chair scraping against the floor. Try me. Dad nodded, his shoulders slumping. We thought you'd never find out. His admission hit me like a punch, but it also set me free. They weren't sorry. They were sorry they got caught. I closed the laptop, my decision made. Here's the deal, I said. You call Greg, tell him it's over. You return every dollar, and you never contact me again. Mom's sob turned into a wail. Emma, we're your family. I shook my head, my voice steady. Family doesn't do this. You lost me the moment you lied. I wasn't done yet. Over the next few days, I quietly gathered more evidence. My friend Mia, the paralegal in Seattle, connected me with a local private investigator named Carla Ruiz. She was tough, no nonsense, and had a knack for digging up dirt. I handed her the USB drive and explained everything. This Greg guy's a small-time con artist, Carla said, scanning the files. He's been dodging fraud charges for years. Your parents are in deep. I nodded. Can you prove it? She grinned. Give me 48 hours. Carla came through. She found 2 other families Greg had scammed with similar sick relative stories, convincing them to hand over savings for fake investments. One family had lost $30,000, the other $15,000. Carla tracked down Greg's real office, a dingy strip mall storefront in Durham, and got photos of him meeting with a known loan shark. He's not just scamming families, Carla said. He's laundering money for bigger players. Your parents are small fry to him. I met Carla at a diner to go over the plan. We've got enough to nail Greg, she said, sliding a folder across the table. But your parents, they'll face charges too. You sure about this? I stared out the window, the Raleigh skyline hazy in the distance. They made their choice, I said. I want justice. Carla nodded. Then let's do this right. We set up a sting. I called Mom and Dad saying I'd reconsidered and wanted to meet Greg again to work things out. They were thrilled, thinking they won me over. We arranged to meet at a conference room in a Raleigh hotel, neutral ground. Carla wired me with a hidden mic and had a cop friend, Detective Harris, waiting nearby. I walked into the room, my bag heavy with the laptop and USB drive. Greg was there, all smiles, with Mom and Dad sitting beside him like loyal lackeys. Emma, glad you came around? Greg said, leaning back in his chair. Let's talk numbers. I nodded, setting the laptop down. Sure, but first, let's clear something up. I opened the laptop and played the recording of our last meeting. Greg's smile vanished as his own voice echoed, We need her account details to set things up. Mom gasped, and Dad's face turned red. What is this? He barked. This, I said, is proof you tried to scam me. And these... I slid Carla's folder across the table, filled with bank records, emails, and statements from the other families. Prove you've done it before. Greg laughed, but it was forced. You're bluffing. No one's going to believe this. I leaned forward. The Raleigh PD might, especially with 2 other families ready to testify. Mom started crying again, but I ignored her. You've got one chance, Greg. Confess, return the money, and maybe the judge goes easy on you. Greg's eyes darted to the door, but Carla stepped in, Detective Harris behind her. Going somewhere? She asked, holding up a badge. Greg froze, his bravado crumbling. This is a misunderstanding, he stammered. Harris shook his head. Save it for the station. He cuffed Greg, reading him his rights as Mom and Dad sat there, stunned. I turned to them. You're next unless you make this right. Mom sobbed. Emma, please, we didn't know. Dad grabbed her hand, his voice low. We'll pay it back. Just don't do this. I shook my head. You don't get to beg now. You made your bed. Carla handed me a document, a formal complaint against Greg and my parents, ready to file. I signed it, my hand steady. The police took Greg away, and Mom and Dad were questioned for hours. They admitted everything. Greg's plan, the fake cancer story, their agreement to split my savings. They returned the money they'd taken, but the damage was done. The other families pressed charges too, and Greg faced multiple counts of fraud. Mom and Dad got probation and fines, their reputations ruined. I didn't stick around for the fallout. I flew back to Seattle the next day, the weight of Raleigh lifting with every mile. My apartment felt like a sanctuary, my art on the walls a reminder of who I'd become without them. Mia met me for coffee, her eyes wide as I told her the story. You're a badass, Emma, she said. I smiled, maybe for the first time in weeks. I had to be. Hey, if you're loving this wild ride, smash that subscribe button for Revenge Line. We drop epic family drama and revenge stories every week. Comment below and tell us where in the world you're watching from. Seattle, Raleigh, or beyond. This story's over, but we've got more coming. Months later, I got a letter from Mom apologizing, begging to talk. I didn't reply. I'd walked away, not just from them, but from the girl who thought family meant everything. I was done carrying their lies. My life was mine now, and no one would take it away again.